Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Final Fantasy IV. In the last part, we met an old man who immediately left us once he learned his daughter died, but the boyfriend's daughter, the daughter's boyfriend ended up joining us in Edward, also known as Gilbert, who is a complete and total wuss.
Not in after years.
But we're immediately led into our first battle against an Adamantoise, 180 HP, 234 XP, 46 gil. Weak to ice, I think it does double damage, and I believe it's also immune to Pig and Mini. It can drop an antidote and echo herbs across or a tent. Best ways to go about that, use either just Cecil's Plane attacks or Rydia's Ice Rod.
Alright, next enemy is a Domovoy. They have 37 HP, have 184 experience and 40 gil, no real elemental weaknesses, and they drop a potion.
I believe they're also the only Goblin-type enemy who don't drop the Goblin-type summon. Which is a bit odd, but okay. Now, as for Edward himself, his main weapon are harps. They are, for the most part, long-ranged weapons that can inflict status damage. Like, I think the first one he starts with can put enemies to sleep, or is it the Confusion one? I forget which.
The Confusion one is the Lamia's Harp, which is what he gets in this cave.
Okay, alright, then this is the one that puts enemies to sleep. Really good for status effects, honestly. Either way, we got two new enemies in this battle. First off, we got the Basilisk, 90 HP, 110 XP, 30 gil. Can drop a gold needle and nothing else, but they can stone you, so watch out for that.
Oh, alright. And the next enemy is a Leshy, which is a strange name. 132 HP, and they drop potions, and they give you 157 experience and 42 gil.
One thing I should mention, actually, Stone Gaze is not an outright petrification. It's
gradual
petrify.
Oh, is that gradual petrify?
Yeah, I forget exactly how it works here. I think it takes 3 shots of it to fully petrify you, which sounds about right.
I thought it was more of a time-related thing, like maybe 3 or 4 turns.
I think it's that in Final Fantasy, like 7 onwards, like it's time-based. Here they're still trying to get a...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I know it is in at least in 7 and 9. I don't know if it's in 6. I don't think there's gradual petrify at all.
I think it mostly is because they're trying to get a grip on how they wanted to make the active time battle system work in 4 at first. Also, you may have noticed my inventory had a bunch of items at the bottom. Those are ones I recommend saving for later, storing with the fat chocobo for reasons. Either way, next enemy up is a Yellow Jelly, 55 HP, 144 XP, 33 gil, weak to lightning as their yellow color one indicates, and they can drop a potion or a high potion. I believe they also take extra damage from drain-type weapons. Like a blood sword would be, I believe.
Well, not that you'd ever be using those.
Not in 4. Not at all.
Well, I mean, you probably wouldn't be using them in most other games either, except for 9, maybe. And, of course, 2.
Yeah, actually, you have a good point. Aside from 2 and 9, blood-type weapons aren't the most useful.
I suppose using them in 5 can be good as long as you have X-Fight, because X-Fight actually negates, I believe it negates enemy evasion.
That sounds about right. Oh boy.
Okay, next we have 2 giant sandworms, and they have 75 HP, 90 XP, and 25 gil. They don't absorb... Oh, I didn't even pay attention to that. They don't have Earth Elemental in this game, I don't think.
Nope.
They drop Potion, High Potion Remedy, and if you're super lucky, Silver Apples.
Which increases your HP by, I think, 50.
50.
Now, one thing I recommend, if you run into a sandworm when you're playing the DS version, you can run into them as soon as you're around Kaipo. Run from them, because they are extraordinarily dangerous. They have Tornado, they have 500 HP, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Either way, we've reached our goal because we need to get the Antlion's Pearl in order to help Rosa get out of her fever. But thankfully, Edward knows how to talk to them because he's a real... I thought I had a joke, but I didn't have a joke. Okay, that's not supposed to happen.
He's a bard, he's not a mediator.
Yeah, the Antlion's being aggressive, so we have to end up fighting it. Antlion is our next boss. 1100 HP, 1500 XP, 800 gil. No real status element, no real elemental affinity, and it has a chance of dropping a potion, which is at 0. Now, overall, the strategy for this fight is to put Edward into his hide command so he can avoid all damage, have Cecil go all out, and have Rydia use her summon, namely just to get the most damage in.
I believe that every time you attack, it retaliates with pincers.
Yes, that is the reason you want to get Edward into hide, actually, because if you have him attack, Pincer will more than likely one-shot him. In the 3D version, this thing had its strategy changed slightly in that its eyes would change color occasionally. They would either be red or white. When it's white, it counterattacks physical attacks, I believe. And when it's red, it'll counter magical attacks. So you need to switch your damage source from Cecil to Rosa over and over again. But that also means Edward actually has a chance to attack in the 3D version.
That's actually pretty nice. A pretty nice strategy.
I like a lot of the ideas that the 3D version did, but some of them are just too much of a pain in my ass. A certain one later on comes into mind. It could be advisable to, before you enter this room, set the battle type to memory, so that you can just hit the auto button and just have it completely blaze through the same commands over and over again. But that would just make... we're early enough in the game where it doesn't matter. But we got the Sand Pearl! So now we can end up taking that back to Rosa. But Cecil is bringing up a good point. If this thing was supposed to be peaceful, but it attacked us anyway, that's not a good sign for other things in the area, because someone, I believe, even mentioned back in part 1 when we were on the ship, or maybe it was in Baron in general, that monsters were getting more aggressive.
That's actually really interesting, because I remember in 9, the reason why the Antlion was attacking, I believe, was because they had people invading the tree.
Yeah, that sounds about right for Clara.
Which doesn't make any sense, because it should have been attacking while your party was going up the tree.
Yeah. Also, if you actually head back into Demisian and head up to the 3rd floor, there'll actually be some survivors up there, and you can use the life pot that's up there and everything.
I thought you could use that just in general.
Yeah, you could,
even when you're there. Or was there any need to use it?
There's generally not any need to use it, plus you're immediately let out of there anyway. Either way, let's go use this thing on Rosa. Using items like this for plot kind of reminds me of the system in 3 where you could press B to use items on people, even though this has much more use and is much more situational at the same time. Yeah, we're alive! How are you feeling? How'd you get here, even?
Yeah, because wasn't the mist sealed off?
Yeah, and she even mentions there, she didn't start coming over here until the entire mist event happened. So how'd she get over the mountains? I mean, sure, you can technically walk over mountains, but Rosa is a pure white mage, so she doesn't have any real way to...
She has bows.
Mind you, I'm thinking about it. What is in the barren area that's even remotely dangerous? Because they got only goblins, really.
Well, they do have floating eyes, and I suppose she maybe tamed one and just had it fly her over here.
She used sexy dance.
I could actually imagine that, just her riding a giant cyclops of a demon flying thing and just saying hello.
I suppose she also could have had Sid pilot her over here. Like,
but where would he be able to land?
Probably on the other side of the mountain. At least I think there was grass over there. Either way, as they're going over, our way back to Baron is blocked, so we need to head over to the next country of Fabul. And we need Rydia to know fire to do that, but if you haven't noticed it yet, even though she's, I think at this point, like level 15 or something, I forget the exact level, Rydia has yet to learn fire. Also, Cecil's being like, you can't come with us. You'll get injured, even though she's the white mage, and thus would be keeping your ass safe. Either way,
can
Rosa's
you imagine
joined.
how hard these games would be without the white mage?
I've attempted to do a no white mage run in one once. Never again. And it seems like Edward's having a bit of insomnia. Yeah, it's a nice little lake, isn't it? I really do like the harp songs in this game.
I do like the harp songs in this game. It's really nice.
I believe I mentioned it earlier. I believe this is technically a remix of the Bard theme from 3, but it's still damn good. Oh, Jesus! It's the Happy Happy Clan! Oh, yeah, that's just a sergeant. Notable, this is a plot event, and it's not determined by the amount of damage you do to the Sahajin, it's the amount of hits you do to it. And that's being haunted by the ghost of his girlfriend. This is...
Also, this Sahagin, I believe, has the most HP of any enemy in the game.
I believe you're technically right, it does. In fact, you know what? Because I actually have the normal Sahagin entry up. Let me see if I can find the... Yeah, this thing has 45,672 HP.
Oof. Why such a specific number?
They probably were just like, oh, what's the most damage people could theoretically do with the equipment they have if they do things like max level?
Wow,
it's
that's...
probably like a third of that.
Getting Edward at max level at this point of the game? Ha!
Yeah, that would take forever. Now, this is basically Anna giving her final farewells, and Ed kind of mans up here. And an interesting thing about development here is that originally the developers intended Edward to get a massive power boost here. Like he'd become about as good as Cecil was at the very start. Or if not like Kane area of attack levels. However, I believe it was Sakaguchi that ended up deciding against that because he went, you know, a man's not going to get stronger just because his girlfriend died.
I don't know. There are certain events that... Sorry about that. I think my mic did a thing. But, I don't know. There are certain reasons why I feel like that reasoning is applicable, but I feel like it's kind of like, let's see. I want to see if I can think of a really good example of this. Cyan. Cyan in Final Fantasy VI, I think, is a really good example of that.
Oh, with the whole memory thing?
Mm-hmm. I suppose. Memory? No.
Not memory. The dream area.
Yeah, the whole dream sequence. I feel like that would be a good example of where.
Yeah, mind you, Ed and Cyan are also entirely different upbringings. Ed is a wussy prince. Cyan's like the major warrior of a castle.
Fair enough, but the circumstances were different. They had loved ones who were killed, but you know.
Either way, welcome to Mount Hobbs. We need to melt this ice to get past it, but Rydia is a bit pyrophobic at the moment because these two idiots burned down her village for some reason.
Of the signet, it was a sign of peace, and then it became bombs.
It was a symbol of peace, and then mist fell to pieces.
Oh no.
This is, honestly, probably some of the most character development Rydia honestly gets. Because one of my more, I don't want to say major, but meh complaints about 4, all things considered, is that not many characters get big development.
I never really paid attention to that, because I feel like every character has their, like, really special moments, and some have more than others. But
you are right in that, because at least every character has like their 1 or 2 like whoa moments, but in terms of like watching the character grow from start to finish, the only ones that grow a significant chunk are Cecil and one other. Either way, we got 2 new enemies here. One of them is yours to start off with.
Are they? Is it the gargoyle?
Yes.
They don't. Oh, it didn't come up for me. But let me get that up for you. Let's see. There it is. You can talk about the cockatrice while I get it out.
In the meanwhile, the cockatrice has 149 HP, 275 XP, 82 gil. Weak to throw elemental things like arrows, which is another reason why I have Rosa on the bow and arrow. Can drop a phoenix down, a gold needle, or the cockatrice summon, which I believe just inflicts petrify on something. Interesting thing about the cockatrices, though, they have an ability known as Beak, which can instantly, that's the petrifying attack. If you confuse them with the Lamia Harp, it will automatically try to use Beak on either itself or its allies, meaning you can instant kill them like that.
So the gargoyle has 160 HP, 315 EXP, 90 gil. They're weak to holy and throwing weapons, and they can drop potions. Also, another enemy is probably going to be the spirit. And the spirit has 86 HP, 278 EXP, 122 gil. They're weak to holy, and they don't absorb fire?
You're thinking of its cousin later on.
Yeah, and they drop potions and a cursed ring. I don't know what that does.
I think that improves. I think that would, like, if a piece of equipment could resist an element, and it would make them like absorb it instead. But it makes some of your other stats go to shit. Here's the exact. The cockatrice summon is a 100% accurate instant death attack to a single foe that is not immune to the petrify status. So I didn't even
AKA
need to make the
can't
little
use it
comment
on
come up.
bosses.
Yeah. It'd be kind of ridiculous if you could. Final Fantasy 1, you could probably get away with that if you bugged it right, but not here. Yeah, something's going on. Ah, it's one of Fabul's monks. Well, we're on the way there, so we can probably get him for guidance, even though he seems to be having some issues with people.
People? Oof.
He took care of those two pretty easily.
Hiya!
Ah, Dama voice. Oh, Jesus. That was a pretty fast kick there, dude.
How did that only do like 30 damage?
I believe kick does
Also,
spread
theoretically,
damage.
that damage thing is really weird, because it did 14 to the dude in front and 30 to the guy in the back, and that's reversed, and that's super
that's
strange.
kind of weird. Either way, we're really thrown into our next boss fight against the Mom Bomb, which is an odd fight. If I recall, I'm actually doing some things out of sequence here. But the Mom Bomb itself has 11,000 HP, 1,900 XP, 1,200 gil, weak to dark elemental stuff, so Cecil's blades will do extra damage. And it could drop a potion if it could drop any items at all. I believe it's also not immune to float, of all things. The strategy you want to do for this early part is just use physical attacks with Ed, Cecil, and this new guy. Pray with Rosa if needed. It's when the second phase comes up that things are going to get a bit wrong. And I hit with Ed here accidentally. I was thinking ahead of phase.
Unfortunately, the first time I fought against this Mom Bomb thing, it was in the original version, and I feel like the big explosion did a lot more damage in the original version than it does now.
It sounds about right, because it also could be a matter of levels, too.
I mean, I got almost completely wiped out by the explosion.
Since it's going to explode, get Ed into hiding, because this does do damage, and get everyone into a defense stance.
I thought defense only did things for physical attacks.
I believe it's considered a physical attack in this case.
Oh.
Either way, upon blowing up, the Mom Bomb splits into two different enemy types, bombs and gray bombs. Bombs are your enemy. I have gray bombs, I believe.
Yeah, they are mine. Bombs have 55 HP and 361 EXP, 76 skill. They're weak to not ice, which is shocking. And they drop potions. And they can use and they can, when their HP gets low, they can use self-destruct. But this one, probably don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I kind of screwed up by
damage.
accidentally using a fire spell. I was thinking of a later bomb-type enemy. The gray bombs, even though they're exploding right now, if I recall, are 111 HP, 445 XP, 105 gil. They could drop potions, and that's basically about it. I could have done that fight a lot better, but oh well. I believe later enemies in the line could drop the bomb summon, but we can't get that yet. Either way, this is Young. He is Fabul's head monk, and they came up here to train, but they kind of got massacred by those enemies. Which, if you get killed by Domovoys, I have bad news for you. But you're already dead, so I can't tell it to you. He's a bit reticent to take our assistance with the whole thing with Golbez, but since they're already on their way, he's going to accept our help so we can get on over there.
Yang is one of my favorite characters in the game.
Yang, and by the way, I might switch with pronunciation between Yang and Yang, because the DS version, I believe, calls him Yang, is also one of my favorite characters. He's also, I believe, the most physically competent.
I mean, he's fighting all the time. Training all the time.
Young has a few abilities to him, namely his Focus Command, which can double damage after a small charging period, Kick, which is basically just a multi-targeted physical attack that does less damage overall. But as for his main weapons, he uses Claws. Now, Claws, the occasional, boost to your hit multipliers aside, I believe do not increase your attack in this game. Because I think Yang does about as much damage otherwise. Or am I thinking of Sabin with that? I always get them confused.
I think you're talking about Sabin, but I'm not sure.
One of the two, it's either 4 or 6. Claws do not do extra damage. It might be 6 now that I think about it, so I think Claws do extra damage.
No, that's 6. That is 6, where claws do extra damage, I'm pretty sure.
The call-out's already come up, so we can just move on. Gatling Hog.
Not even sure. The Gatling Hog has 115 HP, 335 EXP, 53 gil, and they drop gold needles. And if they drop gold needles, it is a 100% drop.
Ooh, here we go. Actually, I have it right here in my notes even. Claws only add elements to Yang, no damage boost. So Yang is powerful enough without his fists. Claws on. Gatling Hogs, by the way, you want to put them to sleep, because if you get them below a certain amount of HP, I believe, they will start countering with needles, which their version of needles does a lot of damage at this point. So you want to be making sure that you have them asleep so you can take them out in 1 to 2 turns. Because I believe Final Fantasy IV's sleep ailment does not end the moment you get physically attacked. It has a timer on it, I believe. Also, welcome to Fabul. I love this song.
Actually, that's where you and I differ a little bit. This is not one of my favorite songs in
It's not
4.
one of my favorites, but it completely fits the tone of the area it's supposed to be.
That is very true. I will say that it does fit.
Either way, we want to get one of the other, each of the other elemental claws that we can get here, particularly lightning claws. Those are going to be useful later on. And all of the demon equipment, which is just a pure upgrade for Cecil. This is one of the only areas you can get pure upgrades for Cecil by buying.
Cecil.
Cecil.
Something I find really strange is that this is a place that that is important for like faith and stuff, or like they value I guess like bettering the inner self, and then they sell demon equipment.
Yeah, that is kind of odd for lore-wise, but yeah, actually, wow. Now, I could go and use the inn, but I want to go do some other stuff first. I want to grab the items around here, which are going to be sold eventually, because battle use items are not useful in 4. Again, the only time they're ever really useful is early game, and we're getting towards mid-early game at this point. Wow, that's his accent. This is Yang's wife, Sheila. I believe in the Super Nintendo version, she didn't have a name, did she?
I think it just said Yang's wife, yeah.
I believe Sheila comes from the after years, and she'll be important later on. But what we want to do for right now is head up towards the eastern tower. Because first off, I believe there's an item in one of these pots, or maybe there's not. I'm thinking of something else. We want to head upstairs. Ooh, bar. Nice. Bacchus wine. Hey there, lady. How you doing?
Oh, no.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm somehow more aroused.
I didn't know you were... Oh! Or rather, I didn't know Cecil went both ways.
Like I said before, I don't really need to do editing tricks for the Final Fantasy IV dances, because the later you get in the game, the weirder they get. Not that there's anything wrong with cross-dressing, but especially for 1991, that was kind of out of nowhere. And we get a tent in here, but if you use the King's Bed, it's a free inn. I think you can only use it right now, but it saves you from having to use the inn in the actual lower
A magnificent bed. I wish it were mine. I wish you could have... That's actually pretty funny, because, you know, you have a woman sitting right next to you, and it would be funny if there was a line where it's like, that's the King's Bed, get out.
Hey, get out of here. It's my husband's. I think that's the Queen. Alright, then let's get our information about to move across with the whole Golbez invasion. One thing I do like here is that the king isn't immediately trusting us because, well, let's look at us. We got a Dark Knight, a child, people of Baron who are supposedly invading us anyway. It takes the prince of an allied nation to be able to be like, hey, they're trustworthy, it's true, my family is dead, please help us.
That's pretty nice, that damn Cyan and, I almost said Blonde, but, and Fabul are allies.
Yeah, it's also fairly convenient for storytelling's sake.
Also, a fun fact about Final Fantasy IX, Cid, the one you find in Lindblom, who is related to the royal family of Alexandria, is actually having the last name of Fabul.
Oh, that's right, he does. Also, Rosa and Rydia are going to stay behind to help with healing efforts, and they leave your party for that, and I recommend before that happens to equip them. And welcome to the Invasion of Fabul sequence. We got a lot of fights here, a few new enemies, but basic strategies are all going to be the same, more or less. Like, for instance, here, you want to do the same strategy as you did back in the Kaipo Hotel when we were saving Rydia.
I never did that, because I was like, how long is this going to take? Anyways, the Baron Marine has 65 HP, 400 EXP, 100 gil. They get half damage from Holy, so keep that in mind if you're using Holy weapons and using cheat codes and stuff. And they drop potions.
And the Captain has 320 HP, 600 XP, 152 gil. They could drop potions if they could drop anything. At this point, I should probably just stop saying that, because bosses really don't drop items.
That's really interesting. I never thought about that, how bosses don't drop items.
Yeah, the only games I can think where bosses can sometimes drop items, I think are in the PlayStation era, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of fights here, by the way. A lot of them are going to be repeats, and the repeated battles are getting edited out, despite the fact that they're required.
Despite the fact that they are considered boss fights.
Nice little detail there. I like how they had the Red Wing shadow going over the castle.
Oh, I never noticed that. That's actually pretty cool.
There's a lot of nice little graphical details like that. And
They're coming! Here's Johnny!
I do not believe this one has a new enemy. Or no?
Well, I mean, it has the normal Sahagin.
Oh yeah, it does. It has the normal Sahagin. Sahagin has 64 HP, 136 XP, 38 gil. That's about it. Takes 4 times damage from ice type attacks, so if you have the ice rod somehow on someone and you're cheating, you could do that. That's about it, really. I also think this is like the only time you can encounter them.
Oh, that's interesting. I never really thought about that.
Mind you, not to say that's not the only game where normal Sahagins have very limited appearances, because you can only battle normal Sahagins in one area in 7, and though that area is not completely always accessible.
So I think you need like the green chocobo to get over there or something.
Yeah, I suppose.
I remember them being in like some mountain area.
They're in the sewer. That is another Captain Marines fight right there, by the way, that I just edited out. The door's been locked. The last crusade. Let's fight to the death, gentlemen.
Excuse me, sir?
Oh, you idiot!
He's
and
one
surprise, there was a traitor amongst us. It's just another gargoyle. As you can see, Yang's kind of had his ass kicked a little bit. But thankfully, the gargoyles are susceptible to the sleep effect of the other harp, so I could do that. That is actually something I should mention. For this section, I did re-equip Edward with his starting harp because a lot of the enemies are susceptible to the sleep status ailment through it. That was another Leshian company.
What do you mean you're outnumbered? It's 3-2.
Yeah. Well, mind you, I believe that was another Captain and Company. No, that was a Leshian
Captain
company.
and Company.
No, that was a Captain and Company. Captain in the Marines. And last stand right before the crystal. This is gonna. Hey!
Hello!
Kane! You're alive!
Dylan! You son of a bitch.
Bros for life.
Are you... Oh.
Wait, what?
Are you ready to face me?
Kane? Going a little edgelord there, buddy? Kane?
Edgy.
Kane, stop. What are you doing?
Why?
Pretty sure I can
Save
take
your
this.
breath.
He shouldn't have equipment on anymore. I'll just defend. Yeah, see, that was nothing. Come on, buddy. Why are you doing this, man? I took 63 before. This should be nothing. Ow! Ow, ow. I guess maybe he's under Golbez's orders or something, but at the same time, Kane was going to help us at the very end of Mist, so something's going on here.
Something is happening.
But at least Rosa seems to be able to get through him somehow.
So do you think it's actually possible to maybe beat him?
I'm not sure how much HP he would theoretically have. And someone's talking, and that's a very eerie theme song, and that's a really Darth Vader-looking guy.
I really love this theme. Very good.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite villains in Final Fantasy history, Golbez!
He's, I don't know. I kind of tie him with X-Death. They're both quite good.
They are.
Similar. I find
they're
them
honestly
similar.
very similar as well, especially in terms of design. But one thing I love about Golbez here is that he gives no shits. He just zaps everyone with lightning and just goes, "Hey, you, go get my crystal." And he even notices a very minor technical error of his own here, because Rosa can get through his spell over Kain rather. He kidnaps her. So if you didn't dequip Rosa earlier, you're out of her equipment for a long time here. Ah, shit, that goes the crystal.
That's a nice little detail, how the crystal gives out light, and then the light fades when the crystal is taken. That's pretty nice.
Well, we're shit out of luck. First time meeting the main villain, and we're all basically clinging to life by a string. Thankfully, Rydia knows cure. That didn't go well. Yeah, we're feeling better physically, but Cecil's probably crying underneath that helmet.
That's so sad.
One thing I should mention, I really like how Golbez kidnaps Rosa in the 3D version. He just kind of wraps his cape around her and she's immediately gone.
I really like Rydia's decisiveness here.
After the whole Tella leaving
it's
thing,
actually really cool to watch.
She just kind of mans up and goes, "I'm a kid, I'm in a bad situation, let's go." Either way, with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 4, we're going to be going back to that throne room really quick, actually, because I missed a few items in there, and then we're going to see what we can do to get out of Fabul and hopefully follow Rosa.
See you guys then.
Exactly.